Why is my ear so itchy?
I feel like my ears are always itchy when the second I put my headphones on.
But like there's an ant colony in there.
I don't like this little poop, but you know what? Life is what it is. All right. We
That's why
ready?
yeah.
All right. Welcome everyone to the Squeaky Floorboard Society. I am Sage,
I'm Megan.
and you're back. And guess what? We are in season 3.
Yay!
And we will get into what season 3 is here shortly. But first we're going to talk about our lives. So what's going on in your life right now?
All right, you're not even gonna believe this. So, you know this first part. The first thing I'm gonna say. My kid is starting preschool, and he's going to private school because the public schools around here suck. And I actually don't really love the private school. If you saw our most recent episode, you'll Sage went to the public schools here.
Yeah.
You can see why. Maybe I would steer clear. Um, but Sage is very smart now. But that's
Yeah.
because she's worked hard to educate herself.
I
She is an
have.
anomaly
I have
in
worked
our
really
town.
hard.
She's an anomaly in our town. And I also don't really like the private school that we have in town either that much. So I'm sending him to the one out of town. Um, so I kind of expected things would be a little hoity-toity, you know. Tuition for the upper grades, if you're not Catholic, is like 10 grand a year. So we're expecting some snoots, right? What I did not expect was school supply shopping for preschool to be over $200.
What does he need? A printer?
That would have been cheaper. Printer, I could have sent with him. Like anything that you would think. It was just the quantities that she wanted of it, and she wanted all name brand because all the kids have to get the same thing and they all kind of share them. So she wants it to be uniform. Girl, next year say Great Value as your name brand. You know,
Yeah.
indeed, had to buy 28 items for him in total for preschool, and it was after shipping $217. I tried to do it in store, and no store just had everything I need, and it would have been way more trouble than it was worth to just go to every store in the fucking county.
Oh my
But yeah,
gosh.
it was over $200. What the fuck does he need feathers for?
Yeah, what?
There was not a single pencil on the list. There was not a colored pencil. Um, no erasers. No nothing because they're not learning to write yet.
Yeah.
So they're doing all these like crafts to help build their dexterity.
Yeah, all their fine
Which I
motor.
guess is what, yeah, I guess this is why I need feathers and assorted craft gems. But like, if to somebody like me, who is very much into classical education, like what the fuck? $100 for Play-Doh and feathers.
So like for our clinic, that's like something that's like typically on our BCBA and our office administrator like their like
Mm-hmm.
Amazon list every month. But that's
Yeah.
wild to me that that's a school supply.
Also, there's 12 kids in his class, including him, I think. Either he's the 12th or 13th.
Okay.
And if every kid is purchasing over $200 worth of school supplies, this woman is getting $2,400 worth of school supplies. You better not ask me for anything else the entire fucking year.
It's so crazy to me like I get that teachers don't get paid enough and they don't get like
Exactly.
classroom, like I get that.
Exactly.
But
I
like
understand that.
some of the stuff that like I remember being on like my school list was crazy.
My preschool school supply list was like 2 Ticonderoga pencils, a backpack, and a thing of tissues. And I also went to private school. I seem to recall there being more stuff provided by the school. I'll tell you what it is. They're wasting all that money on those damn Chromebooks for the upper grades.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that this school, I don't know if I'll keep him in this school long term, but it's the only private preschool around here. Um,
Don't send them to the
so
schools.
I'm not.
'Cause
There's a new charter school up north that I really, really like, but they don't have a preschool. So we'll see how he does in preschool and kindergarten. Give him a couple years to get like properly socialized with other kids, and then I'll probably send him there
okay.
because I love everything there is pen and pencil. Everything
I
there is
love
not.
that.
They have a computer lab that has where they take one computer literacy course every year,
Okay.
and that's the only tech used in the school.
I like that.
This school in starting in first grade, they go to Chromebooks for not assignments, but for computer classes. I don't love that they use Chromebooks, but for those of you who don't know, who are new to this podcast, hi, I'm Megan. I'm basically a Luddite. I don't like technology very much. I think it's and Sage, you work with young kids, so I'm sure you can agree that the rise in technology has been horrifically detrimental to our children.
Yeah, we don't do video reinforcements very often. We have
Yeah,
certain
it's not good.
protocols where it requires video reinforcement, but for the most
Hmm.
part,
It's
don't do
not good
that.
for their brains.
No.
My my son can watch TV for a few, I watched TV for a few hours a day as a kid. A lot, and then, my mom would have the TV on, but there's no unlimited internet access for him in our house. We've had this discussion with him many times of like, you don't have your own devices. You are using my stuff because you're too young. Because, he sees kids out at restaurants that have tablets that are his age, and they're just in their tablets the whole meal.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I want to watch something. I'm like, no, you're going to sit at the table like a person.
Yeah.
And while we're on that subject, do you know what grinds my gears? I saw something on TikTok and it really ground my fucking gears.
What?
And I'm sure it'll grind your gears too. There was this woman who was talking about how, oh, this is what it's like to have tablet-free kids. Sorry, everyone. And her kids were just running amok. Like, no, my son sits at the table.
Yeah. Like,
Like, he doesn't have a tablet or a phone in his face. He might, sometimes he can, he wants to stand up and turn around. And you know what we do? We tell him to sit down.
yeah.
We
I've
would
been
never
out to
like, I
eat
used
with
to,
you.
yeah, did he act like that?
No. Did he eat the noodles off my plate? 100%, but he wasn't up running around.
He wasn't bothering anyone but us.
Yeah.
I think it's fine if your kids are gonna act like kids, but the only people
Yeah.
they should be bothering is their immediate family, and like maybe the table next to them can hear them
Yeah.
because they're kids. They're gonna talk like you can hear us talk at a table.
Yeah.
But oh, speaking of kids, yes, dear, he never wants to come in here unless I'm recording.
Oh, you're frozen. Oh no.
Yeah, that's my thing for the week. I hate technology. I hate when people let their kids misbehave because of a lack of technology. And why the fuck is preschool $200 for school supplies? What do you have going on?
So as you guys know, I finished my homework like super early. And I am pissed because one professor sent me an email that was like, "Hey, I love that you're working ahead."
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Happened to me earlier.
Guys, this is season 3. If you haven't learned by yet, technology is not our friend.
It's
Technology
because of the theme for this season. We're cursed.
literally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, cuz you were cursed. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So, the only thing that I have going on in my life is that like I worked ahead and I had a professor reach out like when I was like pretty much done with all of his stuff and he was like, "Hey, I love that you're working ahead. But just like a heads up that like I'm not great at grading, so like you may not get your grades back till like the last week." And I was
Okay.
like, "Okay." And he's like, "But I plan to work through yours."
Mm-hmm.
Classes end in a couple of days. Homeboy still hasn't graded my homework from like the beginning of July.
I had a professor like that. I don't know if you remember me bitching about him.
Mhm.
Our whole group was mad as hell.
So I'm not entirely happy with him. My psychology professor grades the homework assignments when they're due. Like the day that
Hmm.
they're due, she has my grades in.
Yeah, that professor that I absolutely hated because he gave those really, really hard practical assignments. But I liked the rest of his course. He was a fantastic grader, so I couldn't really complain. I always knew what my grade was in there. Nothing like what am I paying you for if you're not even grading my shit?
Literally. So I'm just like, I guess I'll find out if I pass this class or not. I have an A right now. I'm only missing like 3 points, so I'm technically like I'm good, but still I'm like what if one of these assignments is like an F? Like I don't think it is because my turned it in like percentage is like really low. Like I think I have a 3%, a 6%, and a 15%. And the 15% was because I literally had to quote so much of the book.
If one of your assignments comes back as an F and you didn't even get it back until the end of term, I would straight up go to like your advisor and be like, "Hey, how the fuck am I supposed to pass a class if he's not going to grade shit
Yeah.
or give feedback?
Yeah. So,
How do I know if he likes my work? I can't modify anything if he's not giving me feedback."
yeah. So like that's why I'm angry right now about it. But my Turnitin scores have been good. At most, I don't think he's gonna like fail me on anything. I think he might give me take
Right.
points off for like ideas not being like concisive, but it's communications to interpersonal like communication. My entire final
Right.
project was literally on communication styles featured in Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers extended edition.
I love that you almost said the Twin Towers.
I did.
Look, Legolas, look with your elf eyes. What do you see? Plain.
Oh my gosh. And I literally included they're taking the hobbits to Isengard meme at the end because I was like, this doesn't have to do anything, but I just needed this to be a part of here. So when you click on the slide, it just automatically starts playing. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
You know, I had to submit a slideshow for a class once, and that was when my cat Simpson showed up for the first time. And obviously, we kept him, right? He's our
Yeah.
seventh boy. But his full name is Simpson U.S. Steel because my project was on U.S. Steel, and he would sit there the whole time I worked on my desk and watch me work. So I included a picture of him at the end of my slideshow, and I said Project Supervisor Simpson U.S. Steel.
I
He
when
didn't say anything, so I guess he liked it.
I really want to get one of like the little like American Girl desk and like American Girl furniture, and I will set it up in this
Freya?
the back corner because she's been with me throughout my entire education. And so I want her to have her own
That's
little desk and chair and stuff like that and have her little diplomas up on the wall.
that's so cute. I need to get a frame for my diploma.
I think it'd be so because she's like literally been on top of me while I'm like doing homework. Like
That's so cute.
she's like 2 feet away from me right now. So I'm like, "Oh." So it's gonna say like the college that I went to and like the degree that I got, but it's gonna say Freya Evangeline, our last name.
That's so cute.
And I'm
That's
like,
so cute.
I'm so excited.
Hang on.
Okay.
I heard mom and then nothing. All right, Sage. What have you brought for us today? Let's tell
So
us what season 3 is.
season 3 is based on witchcraft. This is witchcraft trials. This is witchcraft hunters. All of that is going to be involved in our season 3. And
Yay.
we've got some pretty good cases. I'm really excited about a lot of mine.
I'm excited about some of the stuff I'm covering. I'm really excited about some of the stuff I'm covering actually.
I I know I'm super excited about a lot of mine. I'm really excited about my first episode after this one for a reason that'll be apparent at by the end of the next time I post. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so today we're gonna just kind of do a little bit of an intro into witchcraft. Just because in case somehow you don't know anything about how any of this started, how witchcraft became a thing, we're gonna kind of talk about that today. Um, so every culture has stories about witches. Women who whispered curses in the wind, people who could heal or harm with herbs, prayers, and rituals, figures who lived outside the safety of society, feared, respected, and sometimes hunted. But long before witches became Halloween costumes and fantasy characters, the fear of witchcraft was terrifyingly real. Across Europe and eventually the American colonies, communities believed witches would destroy crops, spread illnesses, summon demons, and even steal the souls of children. And when something went wrong, whether that was failed harvest, a sick cow, or a sudden death, someone had to be blamed. The blame often fell on the person who was different: the quiet widow, the strange neighbor, the healer with knowledges others didn't understand. And once the word witch was spoken, there was often no way to take it back. This season, we are cracking the door open into one of history's darkest and most fascinating fears, witchcraft. So, in this episode, we are stepping back to explore the origins of witchcraft beliefs, where they come from, and how they evolved, and why entire communities became convinced that witches lived among them. Because before the famous trials, before the executions, and before the hysteria, there was simply the belief that magic was real.
That's a good intro.
I know. I'm getting better at writing, y'all. I'm so proud of
You
myself.
you are. No, you really are. Like, the improvement from season 1 to now, crazy work.
I know. I'm so excited about it. And I get better throughout this season. And I finished all of my season 4 research because I've had a lot of time.
Right.
And my intros, I think, are killing.
I'm still I'm gonna confess something here. I'm still working on episode 2.
Are you?
There's a lot to sift through with some of the stuff I'm looking into and deciding what I want to include and what I don't.
There was a lot of
There's a
that with,
shocking amount of primary sources. Shocking.
yeah, that was what I found in season 4, which you know what season 4 is. Y'all don't know
Yeah.
yet. But
Hee hee.
I was able to find FBI files, but I was like, I'm not necessarily going to discuss the topic at hand. I'm going to talk about, the mentality and stuff like that. So I was able to but there was a shit ton of FBI documents on
Yeah.
everything.
That's how that Texarkana case was.
So we love finding FBI files, though, y'all.
I think we just love, like, finding out that one of the books that I was looking into, I could read on Kindle.
Did you read it?
Mhm.
I'm excited
It
then.
was fascinating.
So we're going to jump over into the history. The belief in witchcraft as a malevolent magic actually comes from ancient Mesopotamia and in Europe. Belief in witches traces back to classical antiquity. In medieval and early modern Europe, accused witches were usually women who were believed to have secretly used black magic against their own communities. Accusations of witchcraft were made by neighbors of the accused witches and followed from social tensions. Witches were sometimes said to have commune with demons or with the devil, though such accusations were mainly made against perceived opponents of the church. It was thought witchcraft could be thwarted by white magic provided by cunning folk or wise people. Suspected witches were often prosecuted and punished, and if found guilty or simply believed to be found guilty. European witch trials and witch trials in the early modern period leads to tens of thousands of executions. While magical healers and midwives were sometimes accused of witchcraft, they made up a minority of those accused. European belief in witchcraft gradually dwindled during and after the Age of Enlightenment. The Age of Enlightenment, which lasted roughly from 1685 to 1815, this was an intellectual movement known as the Age of Reason, where thinkers championed science, logic, and individualism over tradition, superstitions, and blind belief. It pushed for progress, liberty, religious tolerance, and the separation of church and state. Many indigenous belief systems that included the concept of witchcraft likewise defined witches as malevolent and seek healers such as medicine people and witch doctors to ward off and undo bewitchment. Some African and Malaysian people believe witches are driven by the evil spirit of substances inside them. Modern witch hunting still takes place in parts of Asia and Africa today. Since the 1930s, followers of certain kinds of modern paganism identify as witches and redefine the term witchcraft as part of their neo pagan beliefs and practices. Other neo pagans avoid the term due to its negative connotations. Everything good? Okay. So now we're going to kind of get into the concept. The most common meaning of witchcraft worldwide is the use of harmful magic. Belief in malevolent magic and the concept of witchcraft has lasted throughout recorded history and has been found in cultures worldwide regardless of development. Most societies have found an ability by some individuals to cause supernatural harm and misfortune to others. This may come from mankind's tendency to want to assign occurrences of remarkable good or bad luck to agencies either human or supernatural. Historians and anthropologists have seen the concept of witchcraft as one of the ways humans have tried to explain strange misfortune. I'm going to fuck up this next part, and for that, I am sorry. I don't speak Gaelic. An example of this is Giles of Ireland, or Gales of Ireland. I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation. And the Scottish Highlands historically held a strong belief in fairy folk who could use supernatural harm, and witch hunting was very rare in these regions compared to the other regions of the British Isles. Historian Ronald Hutton outlined 5 characteristics of witches and witchcraft by most cultures that believed in this concept. So these were number one, the use of magic to cause harm or misfortune to others. Two, powers of witchcraft were believed to have been acquired through inheritance or initiation. Three, it was seen as immoral and often thought to involve communication with evil beings. Four, witchcraft could be thwarted by defense magic, persuasion, intimidation, or physical punishment of the alleged witches. And five, it was used by the witch against their own community. A common belief worldwide is that witches use objects, words, and gestures to cause supernatural harm. Hutton notes that both kinds of practitioners are often believed to exist in the same culture and that the two often overlap, and that someone who was an inborn power could wield the power through material objects. One of the most influential works on witchcraft and concepts of magic was E. E. Evan Pritchard's Witchcraft Oracles and Magic Among the Asnid, a study of Asnade witchcraft beliefs that was published in 1937. This provided definition for witchcraft, which became a convention in anthropology. Some research argues that general adaptations of Evan Pritchard's definitions constrain discussion of witchcraft beliefs and even broader discussions of magic and religion in ways that the work did not support. Evans Pritchard reserved the term witchcraft for the actions of those who could inflict harm by their inborn power and use sorcery for those who needed tools to do so. Historians found these definitions difficult to apply to European witchcraft, where witches were believed to use physical techniques, as well as some who believed to cause harm by thought alone. So, this distinction has now largely been abandoned, although some anthropologists still sometimes find it relevant to the particular societies in which they were concerned. You have something to
Oh,
say?
no, I was
Oh, okay.
yawning, but
Okay. I just saw
I
your
do
hand up.
now. No, what witches and sorcerers, they are different things though, right?
So I feel like I've always heard that they were two different things, but the way he was saying it was that witches could do things by thought alone, where sorcerers just needed like actual physical items to do so. Like
Right, but it says that most anthropologists disregard that today. So like is there a difference?
I don't
Is is a witch just like a witch and a sorcerer is a guy with an orb?
maybe, maybe,
Maybe it's the preponderance of the orb that makes you a sorcerer.
maybe because anthropologists kind of just like threw away that distinction, but I feel like there's so many terms.
I have a friend who has a degree in anthropology. I should ask him.
You should because like you have witches,
Right.
sorcerers, warlock, which
Right.
are still part of that. And I feel like there's like two other terms.
I think a warlock is just a male witch though, right?
But there was a sorcerer.
That's the thing. That's the bitch. What is a fucking sorcerer?
So,
I'm gonna look up what if Google will tell me.
all right, do you want me to keep reading or do you want to continue?
Yes, keep
Okay.
reading. Keep reading. I'll look it up while you're talking.
All right. So while most cultures believe witchcraft to be something willful, some indigenous people in Africa and Malaysia believe witches have substances or evil spirits in their body that drives them to do harm. Such substances may be believed to act on their own will while the witch is asleep or unaware. The Jubu people believe women work harmful magic in their sleep while men work it while awake, which is such a crazy thing. In cultures where substance within the body are believed to grant supernatural powers, the substance may be good, bad, or morally neutral. Hutton drew a distinction between those who were unwilling to cast the evil eye and those who deliberately did so. The United Nations Special Rapporteur of Extrajudicial Summarize or Arbitrary Executions, there is difficult of defining witches and witchcraft across cultures in terms that apart from their connotations in pop culture, may include an array of tradition or faith healing practices. Fiona Bowie, an anthropologist, said that the term witchcraft, in which are used differently by scholars and the general public in at least 4 different ways, neo-pagan writer Isaac Bowenwitz uh, proposed divided witches into even more distinct types, including but not limited to neo-pagan, feminist, neo-Gothic, neoclassical, classical, family traditions, immigrant traditions, and ethnic. So this is kind of the concept of witchcraft in general, based on specifically like anthropology and historians and stuff like that.
Okay, I have some stuff here that may be.
Okay.
So, a witch, the power is often framed as innate or inherited, whereas a sorcerer, it is the power is commonly framed as acquired by study and initiation.
Yeah, okay.
So, not necessarily object or non-object based, just how you learn it, and also, um, witches are usually depicted as a practitioner of folk magic, whereas a sorcerer or sorceress is usually presented as a wielder of formal, learned, or ceremonial magic.
Okay.
That's interesting. So, like, if you just are born with the ability to start fires with your mind, you're a witch. But if you open a book and learn how to manipulate,
Then you're
you
a
know,
sorcerer.
matter to start fires with your mind, you're a sorcerer. That's
Wasn't
crazy.
there a movie called, like, The Apprentice Sorcerer or something like that?
The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah. I was like, it's
Nick
something of those
Cage.
words.
Nick Cage is in it.
I was like, it's something along that. I'm hoping that you would follow me. I've never seen it. I've s
I haven't either. I just know Nick Cage is in it.
this has nothing to do with anything, but we know that Johnny Depp,
Right.
he's in the new Ebenezer that comes out soon, and I cannot wait to watch it.
Is this a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Oh. See, my Christmas movie I'm looking forward to is Werewolf by Robert Eggers, the same guy who did Nosferatu. I really like Robert Eggers' work. I've been a fan of him since he did The Witch.
I don't think I've watched any of as we've learned, if you guys don't know this and this is the first episode you're tuning into. Hi, welcome. I have intense anxiety and I don't like to pick things to watch.
Mhm.
Part of it is that there's too many options and it gives me a panic attack. So I just go to YouTube where I have certain things that I watch on there. I'm working
Right.
through this. I'm doing exposure therapy. I just watched last night, I watched 7 different shark documentaries. I'm doing good.
You know, have you ever noticed that like parents will get on Netflix and just like find a movie you can't even like conceptualize?
Yes.
My mom will call me, "Your dad is having us watch a movie about a detective who has to solve a crime, but his nemesis is a hyena and two hyenas stacked on top of each other in a trench coat." And I'm like, "The fuck?
I my mom watches some of the weirdest things. So,
What is it?
me
What
and my
happened?"
me and my mom love Lifetime movies. I love a good Lifetime movie. See,
Right.
if I'm hanging out with someone and they put a movie on, I'll watch it. I don't care what it
Right.
is. I didn't make the decision, so I'm fine with it. But some of those Lifetime movies that woman put on, I'd be sitting there like, I what is happening?
I was in a doctor's office recently and they had Lifetime on. And it was like Christmas in July. Like it was their little Christmas in July thing. And it was absolutely insane. I was like, this woman is about to divorce her rich husband for a man with a Christmas tree farm. This girl's really gonna fucking do that. Oh my god.
Like I do love I love Hallmark movies. That I don't have as much anxiety putting on because I know actually this is part of like so people who have anxiety tend to watch the same thing over and over and over again because you don't have to anticipate what's going to happen next. You already
Right.
know. So with Hallmark movies, I know what's going to happen.
You know she's gonna leave him for the Christmas tree farmer.
Yeah. So that I
You
can
know she's
just
gonna make a bad decision.
watch it and not have to be stressed about it. But I still get the secondhand embarrassment part of it where I freak out whenever there's like an embarrassment scene. So I have to like skip past that. But like I'm fine with that. But I'm working on that because I'm watching Desperate Housewives right now too. And so I have to I'm forcing myself to sit through the scenes that are making me die internally.
Right.
So a lot of exposure therapy is happening on my end.
You know what might be good for you to watch that would cure your cringe anxiety?
What?
Watch Naruto.
I was watching Fruits Baskets the other day.
Did you like it?
I've watched Fruits Baskets before they did the
Oh,
fucking
okay.
reanimation of it. It was one that was like the first one I watched. It was that one, then Yuri on Ice, and then a a friend in high school made me watch is it Baco no Pico? It
That sounds
was
right.
so I've watched anime. It's just not something that I particularly again, there's too much to pick from.
Yeah, I get it. And a lot of them are really long, so it can be intimidating.
So I included this next section specifically for you. Our next
Eee.
section is the etymology. So now I'm switching over to the area that is the furthest thing from my strong suit. So I want everyone to please forgive me for any mispronunciations. Actually, no, I really don't want you to forgive me. If you have been with us this entire time, you know that I can't read. I'm not apologizing anymore, actually. So
You will
the
take my pronunciations as they are.
so the word witchcraft is over 1,000 years old, which I didn't know, but I also don't have a concept of years. So in the Old English, they formed the word. It looks like wissycraft from wissy, which meant witch, and craft, which is spelled Craeft. I will include all of these in our new way of editing so you guys can see them. Which means craft. The masculine form was Wicca, which means male sorcerer.
Mm.
The old Oxford English Dictionary, Wiki and Wicca were probably derived from the Old English verb Wiccan, meaning to practice witchcraft. Wiccan has a cognate in Middle Low German, which was Wiccan around the 13th century. The further etymology of the word is problematic. And so the Wiccan was Wicken.
Right.
So,
That's kind of what I would expect for. What was that? Was it low or high German?
Middle Low.
Middle low. That's what I'd expect.
So it has no clear cognates in other Germanic languages outside the English and Low German, and there are numerous possibilities for the Indo-European root from which it may have been derived. Another Old English word for witch was hagtes or hegetese, which became the modern English word hag and linked to the word hex.
That makes sense.
In the most Germanic languages, the word for witch comes from the same root as these, from example, in German hexes and Dutch hex. In colloquial modern English, the word witch is often used for women. A male practitioner of magic or witchcraft is more commonly called a wizard or sometimes a warlock. When the word witch is used to refer to a member of a neo-pagan tradition or religion, it can be referred to of a person of any gender. I've never felt like I've had such like a tight chest reading one section of any of my research until I got to that.
You did good.
Thank you.
You did good. I knew exactly what you meant the whole time.
He good?
Yeah, he's having a good time. He's singing.
Okay. It just sounds like he's screaming. All
He's
right.
honking, technically.
I love it. Every time he starts singing or anything in the background, it reminds me of Scuttle from The Little Mermaid.
Wow.
So now we're going to get into beliefs about practices. Witches are commonly believed to cast curses. Curses could also involve inscribing runes or sigils on objects to give the object magical powers, burning or binding wads of clay image of a person to affect them magically, using herbs, animal parts, and other substances to make potions or poisons. Witchcraft has been blamed for many kinds of misfortune. In Europe, by far, the most common kind of harm was illness or death suffered by adults, their children, or their animals. Certain ailments like impotence in men, infertility in women, and lack of milk in cows were particularly associated with witchcraft. Illnesses that were poorly understood were more likely to be blamed on witchcraft. A common belief in cultures worldwide is that witches tend to use something from their target's body to work magic against them. This could include things like hair, nail clippings, clothing, or bodily waste. Which I've heard the hair, I've heard of nail clippings, but I've never heard of bodily waste being used.
Yeah, I've heard of like piss, spit, and spit being used.
I've never heard of the only time I've ever heard of piss being used is when I can't remember his name threw piss in a circle and became a werewolf.
Oh yeah, the Greek guy, right? Well, no, he was Roman.
He was something.
He was ye old.
Yeah. So
He threw that piss in a circle.
yeah. So that's the only time I think I've heard of piss being used. So such beliefs are found in Europe, Africa, South Asia, Polynesia, Malaysia, and North America. Another widespread belief among indigenous people in Africa and North America is that witches cause harm by introducing cured magical objects into their victims' bodies, such as small bones or ashes. In some cultures, witches are believed to use human body parts in March, and they were commonly believed to murder children for this purpose. In Europe, cases of which women did undoubtedly kill their children because of what today would be called postpartum psychosis were often interpreted as yielding to diabolical temptation. Witches are believed to work in secret, sometimes alone and sometimes with other witches. In most culture, witches at these gatherings are thought to transgress social norms by engaging in cannibalism, incest, and open nudity. Which, like, to me, I don't know, like, there was a lot of men burning women back in the day. But, like, if they're, like, at a
Mhm.
party nude, it seems like that would be their heaven.
I don't think it's the nakedness so much as the cannibalism and the
Yeah,
incest.
yeah,
I think that might be, although, men back men back then were weird.
yeah,
You could only be naked if it was just you guys, I guess.
apparently.
Wait, so could they I guess they could have done that in a brothel or something, and, like, the men would have been fine with it.
So if we ever time travel, we open a brothel, that's where all the witches hang out.
And we're just gonna be like, "There's no cannibalism here. What are you talking about? That's a turkey."
And then we get to know what perfume they wore.
Exactly.
Well, we need
We can
time
take it
travelers.
back we can take it back to our time and start a perfume business.
Yes. And you know it's gonna be good perfume. That's our idea. We're copywriting that.
Yeah, no one steal our idea. Nobody invent time travel, okay? Not on my watch.
Other people time travel to like kill Hitler and stuff like that. We're going back in time to get perfume.
Literally. And maybe fight a couple people.
Yeah. I have a couple
That'd
in
be fun.
mind. I gotta go to
I
France
have
though.
a lot of French people. The entire if we start a butterfly effect, France is just gone when we get back. There what happened to France? What's France? Oh, no. That Marcus the Worm thing where he's like, "I accidentally deleted New Zealand."
Yeah.
That's gonna be us. We accidentally deleted France.
France. It's funny that we say that because or like when we would talk about France like we do is because when my sister and me were younger, we used to like playfully fight over the couch. Um, she was the overly Russian bitch, and I was the overly French bitch.
Okay.
I can't do anything about French. I can't speak it. I can't understand it.
And you're married to a Russian,
Yeah.
so
So it's kind of funny how those two things are just like in my life.
she's gonna marry a Frenchman.
Maybe. So witches around the world commonly have association with animals. In some parts of the world, it is believed witches can shapeshift into animals or that witches' spirits travel apart from their body and take an animal form, an activity often associated with shamanism. Another widespread belief is that witches have an animal helper. In English, these are called familiars and are meant to be an evil spirit or demon that has taken an animal form. Necromancy is the practice of conjuring the spirits of the dead for divination or prophecy along the terms that have been applied to raise the dead by other purposes. J.D. Kriege agrees that the belief in witchcraft also serves various functions. One such function, he notes, is psychological. It enables people to account for failures not as a result of any fault of their own, but due to the doings of others and other external malevolent forces. In this way, people can compensate for their inadequacy and continue to feel that they are masters of their own fate. So, with that, we're going to move into witchcraft and folk healers. White magic was believed to be helpful against black magic. Black magic was forbidden by law, however, white magic was tolerated or accepted by the populations, even if the orthodox establishment opposed it. In these societies, practitioners in helpful magic would provide services such as breaking the effects of witchcraft, healing, divination, finding lost or stolen goods, and even love magic. In some parts of Europe, they were commonly known as cunning folk or wise people. Some were also called blessers or wizards, but might also be called white, good, or unbinding witches. However, white witch was rarely used before the 20th century. In the early years of the European witch hunts, the cunning folks were widely tolerated by the church, state, and general populace. Some of the more hostile churchmen and authorities tried to smear folk healers and magic workers by falsely branding them as witches and associated them with harmful witchcraft. But generally, the masses did not accept this and continued to make use of their services. The English member of Parliament and skeptic Reginald Scott sought to disprove magic and witchcraft altogether by writing The Discovery of Witchcraft in 1584.
Continue, continue.
So we're going to get into the witch hunts, which I don't have a whole lot on this because guess what? I got a lot coming for you. And I don't know how much Megan's got of witch hunts specifically, but
I
you
think
know,
I have more of the foundational parts of the witch hunts, but except for one.
but yeah, so you
I
guys are gonna.
cover Yeah. You're gonna learn a lot about witch hunting.
So I didn't make this section a whole lot deeper. But as we know, the belief in witchcraft was dealt with in various ways. One common way is to use protective magic or counter magic, often with the help of the magical healers, like we just talked about. Another belief cure for bewitchment is to persuade or force the alleged witch to lift their spell. Often, people would attempt to get rid of witchcraft by physically punishing an alleged witch, such as banishing them, wounding them, torturing them, or killing them. And that's all I have on that because you're going to learn a lot about how these witch trials went on throughout the rest of the season.
Mhm.
But we are
You
going to
are.
go into our accusation of witchcraft. So, as we know, women were the ones mainly accused, especially in the more male dominant society in the 16th century America. However, in some cultures, it was mostly males, such as 17th century Iceland. In many societies, accusations were mainly directed against the elderly, but in other ages were not a factor, and in some cultures, it was mainly adolescents who were accused. Eva Pox, a Hungarian folklorist, wrote
Mhm.
that the reasons for accusations of witchcraft fall into four general categories. The first three were originally proposed by Richard Kiekenheffer, and the fourth was added by Christina Larner. They are the following: a person was caught in the act of positive or negative sorcery. A well meaning sorcerer or healer lost their clients or the authorities' trust. Three, a person did nothing more than join the intimate amenity of their neighbors. A person was reputed to be a witch and surrendered with the aura of witch beliefs or occultism. So, again, that's probably going to be stuff that we're going to go more into throughout the rest of the season, which is why there's not
Yes.
a whole lot of information because I didn't want it to be too redundant for us, but we are.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a lot that goes into how people end up getting, and it's not even just necessarily having to do with the actual person. There's a lot of social factors and economic factors, and the episode I have after this is going to talk about some of that in a very specific context.
um, so yeah, and so this next part two, I cover a case that has something to do with this. So I'm not going to go too in deep with this as much as I would have liked to, but there is still going to be a lot of information in this next one, which is modern witch hunts. So if you didn't know, witch hunts is still a thing. So witch hunts, scapegoating, and the shunning or murder of suspected witches still occurs today. Many cultures worldwide continue to have belief in the concept of witchcraft or malevolent magic. Apart from extrajudicial violence, state sanctioned executions also occur in some jurisdictions still to this day. In Saudi Arabia, practicing witchcraft and sorcery is a crime punishable by death, and the contrary has executed people for this crime as recently as 2014. Witchcraft related violence is also discussed as a serious issue in the broader context of violence against women. In Tanzania, an estimated 500 older women were murdered each year following accusations of witchcraft or accusations of being a witch. Children who live in some regions of the world, such as parts of Africa, are also vulnerable to violence stemming from witchcraft accusations. Now, we could go in and break all of these countries and forms of witchcraft across the world and history down. While I would love to go that deep into this, I think for the opening of the season, I will just leave it at that. When it comes to witches in art and literature, witches have a long history of being depicted in art, although most of the earliest artistic depictions seem to be originated in early modern Europe, more specifically the medieval and Renaissance periods. Many scholars attribute their manifestations in art as inspired by the text from the canon. Is it canon Epsicope?
Canon Episcopi.
Yes, a demonology centered work of literature, and this word takes me forever to pronounce. Hold on. Mal, mal, Malus Maleficarum,
Malleus Maleficarum.
which was a witch
You were really
craze
close.
manual published in 1487. Um, and I'm not going to go too much into that because I think that we're going to go into more of that soon. But witches in fiction span a wide variety of characterizations. So that's kind of all the information I brought for you guys today on just the introduction of witchcraft and all of this. Because again, I know that a lot of my cases go really deep into this, and from what I could tell from Megan's and our doc, hers are also going to go pretty deep into this as well. So
Hmm.
hopefully
Yeah.
this was a good starting point so you can understand where it originated and why it originated.
Right. Like it's good to start off the season because it's witchcraft is such a broad fucking topic,
It
and there's
is.
so much that you could cover. I think it's good to start off with just a quick, simple, dirty little primer.
Because, yeah, we're going to get pretty deep.
Let's get everybody on the same page before we start digging in.
I can't speak for your episodes, but I do want to go ahead and release this, and I'll release this at the beginning of all my episodes. There's going to be a lot of trigger warnings in mine, just because of what's happening.
Right.
Um, if you learned anything in school, you learned about the Salem witch trials, I'm not going to go into my whole thing about that. But
Ugh.
these witch trials were not good things. They were not much like our werewolf trials. Like a lot of them end in death, and some of them leading up to that has some gruesome details.
Yeah,
So,
and the witch and werewolf trials in a lot of places happened concurrently, like France, the Livonian region.
yep,
Feast of Livonia was caught up in the witch trials, essentially. Except he
wouldn't have
nobody
been.
he wasn't even he wouldn't have been if he would have just not said anything.
Yeah. So,
Um, so but yeah, there's a lot of gruesome stuff.
just like just a heads up that if this is your first time listening to us, we will give you trigger warnings before every episode if there's something like that. Sometimes we don't release a trigger warning until like a couple minutes prior because sometimes it's like a very tiny section that has something
Mhm.
and then we can kind of usually skip past that. Um
Yeah,
but I know that at least 3 of my episodes are like the entire episode sad. So,
yeah. I mean, and while we always want people to feel comfortable, like listening to us and not making themselves uncomfortable hearing stuff that can be kind of dark, I do think it is important for people to sometimes at least try to listen to it. Not saying that you guys need to if you have like some severe like anxiety or whatever about it, but I do think it is important to engage with topics that are uncomfortable because it's important, right? It, that'd be like if we said, "Hey, let's not talk about World War II because we don't want to talk about the Holocaust," right? Like that. No, that's an important thing to keep in mind. That's an important thing to remember happened.
and the reason
Um,
that is, and if you guys have listened to anything in our previous seasons, there was a parade that had the pillars and everything from the Holocaust and from Auschwitz on a float for
yes,
Halloween, and they said we
yes,
didn't know.
yeah. No, there's no reason anybody in the world should not know what Arbeit macht frei means. Like Arbeit macht frei is one of the most known phrases
Yeah,
because it was on the gates. And so it's important to remember this stuff, and I think it's also important to remember specifically in stuff like witch crazes how these things start and how they escalate and why they escalate. Because not every modern witch hunt is for actual witches. The same, it's the mob mentality, it's the same thing. It's the demonization of your neighbor, of people you trust or people you should trust by an authority, right? I think that in times like these, it's really important to remember how these things happen and how they escalate and what they lead to,
I
because this is not a phenomenon reserved for our ancestors. It just happens differently now.
I do want to say to like kind of piggyback off what you just said. One of my cases occurred in 2025.
Holy
Just
shit.
just to put it out there. Yes, one of my cases happened in 2025. So, again, this is something that is still occurring in the world, and while I understand from the research I've done why it's still occurring, it's still a very sad and tragic thing that is still occurring. And like Megan said, it's not just for our ancestors to have to deal with, it's also something that we are still actively dealing with in our world.
So, all of almost everything that we cover in this podcast in some way kind of relates to today, whether it's fears, um, anxieties, psychology. All of this is stuff that still happens today on some level, just with different things. In the 1600s in Salem, in 1692, it was, oh, your neighbor's a witch. Now it's your neighbor is such and such. I'm not going to say anything too plainly. But yeah, I do think that it's important to engage with topics like this, even especially if they make you uncomfortable, because you are going to have to engage with them in real life in a certain way at some point. And it's like I said, if you have a severe anxiety, don't stress yourself out listening to a podcast. But For the rest of you, discomfort is growth.
Yeah. So with that, that is the first episode of season 3. We have an email which will now be on the screen at all times so you can
I think
see. I
it was below me last time. It was next to you over here, and it was
yeah,
below me.
I there's a new editing thing where I plan to put whoever's like episode it is bigger,
Uh,
and so we'll keep switching. So I think technically it'll be under me if I still am going through with what I thought I was gonna do. Guys, it's a new editing thing. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. I just wanted to spice it up.
yeah. I think it'll be a good format once you kind of like get everything ironed out.
Yeah, because I have a plan, which I think would have been great for us in season 1, but I want to include more pictures of things that have to do with the
Right.
topic at hand, and like
Right.
maybe some like information, like how I did the etymology that we can actually write it up there and you can actually see
Right.
it. So fingers crossed, y'all.
Can't
Um,
cross my fingers anymore. Very well. Arthritis. I used to be so good at it.
um,
Oh, there we go.
yay! But
Oh,
yeah, so if you guys have any questions, if you have any stories, send it to the email that's somewhere.
somewhere. If you're a witch, let us know.
Yeah, if you have some ancestors that were unfortunately unalived in a witchcraft thing that you know a lot about, let us know. That'd
Do we
be
have to
awesome.
do we have to say unalived on YouTube?
I don't know. We're not monetized, so I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. We're not monetized. If you guys watch us enough, we can get monetized. And then we can devote more time to this.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to tell you this. We're almost at 1,000 downloads.
Ooh. That's fantastic, actually.
I looked at it earlier, right before I got on, and it was at 935 downloads.
You know, I can't even believe 900. Somebody's thought to listen to us 900 times.
Yeah, and we're at like
That's
almost
crazy.
800 listeners. Crazy.
Like
Thank you.
that doesn't thank you guys. I know some people will say that's not that much, but like if there were 800 people in my house right now, I'd be scared.
Oh, and well, we were talking about I think it was in one of our season 1 where we're like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if there was that many people trying to fuck you in the ass, like that'd be a lot of people.
Yeah. If I was giving a presentation and there were 800 people there, if 800 people are trying to, fuck you, you're Bonnie Blue. So that's crazy. Thanks, guys.
It's so crazy that like I have a fear of public speaking. Guys, I got a lot of anxiety.
But this is a little different for you, I imagine, because you're talking to me,
Yeah. And I
and
don't
then we're putting it out there for other people to hear.
like I don't care if anyone judges me in the comments. I don't. But like if you guys were all looking at me,
It just
I would have had a heart attack at this point and just been like, I no longer am alive.
right, passed away.
So, but yeah, so let us know what your guys' thoughts are. Leave a like. If you're watching on YouTube, you should definitely hit that subscribe button so you can kind of see what the rest of the season's going to hold. And hopefully, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.